So we have our driver package almost ready to go, and it's time to connect our application to the database and make sure we can actually ping it. But before we do that, I'm really not happy with this testdb function here in driver.go inside the internal driver folder. It's a little more complicated than it needs to be. Let's simplify it. And I blame lack of caffeine when I was recording the last lecture. So I'm going to remove the first parameter, error, and just accept one parameter, okay? And here, we'll change this to an assignment operator because we don't have an ERR variable. And if there's an error, then we'll just return it. So we'll say, return the error. And then we can get rid of our else statement because that's not necessary anymore. And down here, we can just return nil. And of course, that means up here, we'll call error equals testdb with one parameter and put an if statement. If error is not equal to nil, then we'll return nil because we don't have a database connection we can use and the error. And down here, we'll just return nil. dbcon and nil. That's much cleaner, and that gets rid of the warning. And as I said, I apologize. That was sloppy of me last time around, and again, I blame a lack of caffeine. In any case, let's go back to our main.go file inside the CMD API folder and try connecting to our database, okay? We're not going to do anything with it this time around. We'll just try connecting to it. So we're going to want somewhere to store this database when we're actually ready to work with it. So let's put another field in our application struct, and we'll call it db. And it's of type a pointer to from the driver package .db. Right there. Okay, so that is the import for us. Now, of course, we're actually going to want to get that variable and assign it to the application struct, and we'll do that down here. After we declare our info log and error log, we'll build a DSN, so DSN, that data source name, we'll build a string for that. And that will be something as simple as, say, using the format package sprintf. And we'll just hard code it right now. We'll worry about getting the credentials out of this file and storing them somewhere else a bit later on. I just want to make sure we can actually connect to the database and ping it. So we'll say host equals, and it'll be localhost in our case. And then we have to have a port, and that will be equal to 5432. And then we need a username, and that comes right out of our Docker Compose file, and that's just Postgres. And we'll want a password, which is equal to password, again from dockercompose.yml. And our database name, that's equal to view API. And we'll set SSL mode equal to disable, because we're not using SSL in our local connection. Then I'll just set time zone equal to UTC, which is sufficient for our purposes. And I'll also set connect underscore timeout equal to, say, 5 seconds. If you can't connect in 5 seconds, something has gone wrong. Now I'm building the whole string here, so there's no need for me to use format sprintf. Let's get rid of that bit. We'll put that in later on. So we have our DSN. Now let's use it. So we'll say db and potentially an error are assigned the value of calling from the driver package .connect Postgres, and that requires one value, the DSN we just built. And we'll check for an error. If error is not equal to nil, then we'll die. At this point, I don't want to go any further, so I'll just say log.fatal cannot connect to database. But if we do get that value, db, then we can store it in our application config right here. So that would be db is now equal to db. And of course, the only other change I should have to make at this point is to get rid of this assignment operator, because we have an error variable at this point, and make that an equal sign. So make sure your Docker Compose file is running. In other words, your database is running in the background. And at this point, I should be able to open my terminal, clear the screen, and type go run CMD API. And it should connect to our database if we did everything right. Let's find out. So we pinged the database successfully and we're listening on port 8081. Perfect. So now we have a means of connecting to the database and we can start doing something with it. So in the next few lectures, we'll set up the appropriate models and start writing the database functions for authentication.